The flow state. I am waiting for Katie to get done with her eye doctor appointment, and so let's do a little typing video of Matthew McConaughey. It'll be quick and easy. This is an interview he's doing on Jordan Peterson's podcast. Apparently he wrote a book, and so they're going to start talking about that.
He's also been on my daughter's podcast. And Matthew recently wrote a book, Green Lights, which we're going to talk about today. I've read that, and I'm looking forward to discussing it. There's all sorts of things I want to talk to Matthew about, and so hopefully we'll have a stimulating conversation. That's my guess. So let's start with, well, we can start with whatever you want to start with, but let's start with the book, I think.
Yes, sir.
Tell me why you wrote it, and when you wrote it, and what you want people to know about it.
All right, so going straight into it, I'm going to tell you that I type in ESTJ, and I'd already had that suspicion, just based off the little bit of other interviews I'd seen him do. I don't pay a lot of attention to celebrities, really, so this is probably only the second time I've ever seen him interviewed or, interacting outside of a movie. But I was getting ESTJ vibes, and then I've watched about 3 minutes of this video, and this clip locks it in for me. So we'll just kind of walk through it. I'll point out some of the obvious T, E, and SI shit that he does, and it'll be great. And we can tell right off the bat he's a TE Dom because it looks like he's wearing fucking safety glasses.
Keeping journals since I was 14 years old.
Look at this.
And so...
did you catch that he's been keeping journals since he's 14 years old? That's the first thing he kicks off with. That is super SITE. Obviously, SI's gonna deal with that foundation and legacy mentality, and TE's producing. So as he goes along, he's producing tangible records of his life. I had my last boss who was an ESTJ. I mean, these people document and note and write down instructions and formulas and they just document creating machines. ESTJs. I've mentioned this in previous videos that ESTJs make paper and ENTJs eliminate paper. ENTJs want everything synced up digitally into just one piece of instant digital knowledge so that they have the least amount of handling or effort expended to access each piece of information. They don't want to go rummaging through stacks and stacks and stacks of papers. That's ENTJs. ESTJs are quite the opposite. They're producing stuff. They're more about production than efficiency. So they make lists and papers and lists and papers and records and it's just, they just create reams and reams and binders and folders of paperwork. And they know where it is when they want it to, which is a difference between ESTJs and ESTPs. Is ESTJs can make tons and tons of paperwork and documents and throughout over time and let them accumulate, and they know right where it is and they know how to access it when they want it. And ESTPs such as myself, the stuff on my desk is an organized mess, but once something gets past like 2 months old, it's completely left my brain. If I want to find something that I haven't seen in 6 months or a year, forget it. I'm gonna have to tear the whole house apart before I figure out where it is.
I guess starting 15 years ago, I always carry this treasure chest full of the journals I've been keeping, and they were filling up that treasure chest. And I would take it with me to any place that we went for an extended amount of time, put it over there to the right of my proverbial desk and go, have it there, because if you get the itch and you get some time, I dare you to go in that treasure chest and see what's in there. Well, I've threatened to open up that treasure chest and see what those journals held for the past 15 years. Didn't have the courage really to open it up. Didn't want to make the time to go in there because I was intimidated of looking back at 50 years or however many years of my life. I'm not one for really liking to look back over my shoulder. I'm somebody who likes to, I'm still someone who rather enjoys making the sandwich more than eating it. Actually, I like making my movies more than I even like watching them. I like doing things, moving on, and heading forward. So,
and that's, I'm going to relate him back a lot to my ESTJ boss, who I know you guys don't know, and it's anecdotal, but it gives me mentally a good spring to bounce off of, and they're just alike. But what he just sort of unfolded there is, I like making the sandwiches, I like moving forward, I don't like looking back. TE's above SI. But we're still dealing with a lot of SI back there. So he's dragging around 15 years worth of binders. When I got hired on that job, after I kind of proved myself and had established some trust with my boss, one of the first things I did was throw away decades of shit that he had. He had the American Concrete Institute manual. It's one of those things that they revise every year. He had 22 years of them lined up. There's no reason to have a 3-shelf bookcase full of 22 years worth of revised ACI manuals. But something in them, they just don't want to get rid of that stuff. They might need it someday.
You must have had some idea too when you were making those journals, at least in principle, that you owed an obligation to yourself at some point to look back over them. And I can see that would be intimidating because you're creating a task for yourself, a task of reconsideration and contemplation, I suppose.
Well, my excuse was, when I die, Camilla will open them up, and if there's something worth sharing, she'll do it. Which was used in martyrdom, if there's something worth it. So I, maybe it was coming across 50. Unconsciously, I didn't think about 50 as a number of a time to be retrospective, but I had some time on my hands, and I had read an article in the New York Times that a young man had written, and I liked the article. I go, this guy gets me. In a way that it was the first article I read where he had weaved all different times of my career life into a thread, instead of sort of like saying he was this then and now he's this, and this then and now he's this. So he'd strung them all together, and I liked his style of writing. And I asked him to come on and be a ghostwriter for a book. We met one time.
He likes this guy's writing style because it uses SI to weave in FI. It hits him on both those levels.
It was a good meeting. We thought it was going to be a book, a little hardback book that you could put on the back of the toilet that every college kid could take to school and could open it up any page, maybe read a truthism or a bumper sticker or something, and have a little aspiration ahead about their day. Well,
see that? I mean, it just, even for a book concept, what he just said right there is such an incredibly TE sort of, this is what you're going to do with the book, this is where you're going to put it, and this is what you'll get out of it. I mean, I think that most people who write a book would, I don't know, I haven't, I guess, asked many authors, but I would assume that most authors, especially on their first book, are more thinking that this is going to be really something profound and deep, or just insightful that they're giving their readers. But he's not there at all. He's got a useful truthism for college kids.
New York Times pulled him off because evidently they weren't allowing other writers to work with celebrities. And just as he got pulled off, and I was in the room, my office with Camilla, my wife, I said, I think I need to find a new ghost rep. And I stopped at the same time she stopped. And she said, you know what this means? I went, yeah, I do know what it means, which is I need to go off and write it myself. So she said, I packed up all the journals. She said, don't come back until you got something.
The spouse of TE Doms are always in search of a reason to push their spouse out of the house. Go play golf. Go write your book. Go do this. Sometimes just go leave me alone for the afternoon. But yeah, TE Doms need to do stuff. If a TE Dom is sitting around the house too long, guess whose life he starts doing stuff in.
And I headed off with 15 gallons of water. I don't know how many pounds of red meat and my favorite libation. And I went away to the desert. The first 12 days
It's weird that I'm old enough now to understand exactly what he's talking about. Like here's the thought. Maybe 10
We're
years
old
ago,
enough
when I was younger,
to not regret our fuck ups.
I don't know,
and to realize that our
I don't know how to
blunders
articulate
and
this
bullshit
thought, but
we're all work together to
down with
and that is an
the
old
journals.
sentiment.
I remember going into thinking it was going to be more academic, thinking that that's what it was. After day 5, I realized, no, there's actually more folk poetry in here and stories to tell than any academia. So I backed off and said, let's just see what the journals reveal themselves to be. And I ended up with 8 stacks of all the journals. I said, what are some themes? I had a big stack of stories, big stack of people, big stack of places, big stack of prescribes, big stack of poems, prayers, and bumper stickers. So I had these 8 stacks. I said, okay, now let's sift through those and see if we find a central theme. And that's where green lights came from. I found that I had engineered green lights in my life through responsibilities taken yesterday, which bore me freedom today. I found that I'd gotten just plumb. I have no reason why good fortune landed in my lap. There was no reason why, but I said, well, let's make some rhyme out of this and do something with it. I found that also a lot of my yellow and red lights, those things that we don't really like that slow us down or make us stop, all had lessons that they revealed to me, which then made them green lights, or at least gave them green light assets. And then I also found that the art is sort of in approaching the yellow light.
All right, so we've reestablished ourselves in a wind-free zone. So look, one of the things you struck.
Okay, I think that we've pretty well established ESTP, or LSC in socionics. So I'm going to wrap it up, and I want to hear what Jordan Peterson's about to say here. I think it's a good wrap up to illustrate a point I'll make in just a second.
Gave them green light assets. And then I also found that that the art is sort of in approaching the yellow light.
All right, so We've reestablished ourselves in a wind-free zone. So look, one of the things, you struck me as an intensely likable character as a consequence of what you revealed in your book. I mean, I kept thinking it would be a pleasure to spend time around this man. And I certainly saw no sign of arrogance in it. I thought I saw a lot of thankfulness, and a conscious thankfulness, and I think implicit thankfulness as well. And a lot of love for your family, your parents, and your current family, and gratitude for that as well. And also, one of the things that struck me too was your integrity and decision making with regards to your career. You talked about taking a break after being somewhat typecast in romantic comedies. I mean, very successfully typecast, and so there's nothing negative about that. But feeling that you had taken that.
All right, well, that's basically what I wanted to capture and just end on this note. ESTJs are underrepresented in the type community. And so this is a type that falls victim to stereotypes more than others. And I know, the stereotype of ESTJs, they're assholes, they're overbearing, blah, 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 they're always in my business. They are the conflictor type with INFJs, and INFJs are super overrepresented in the type community, so that also probably has something to do with it. But I do want to say, ESTJs are solid fucking people. I like them. Yeah, they can be overbearing. That's what a TE Dom does. But they're legit. They're legit. They're legit. They're solid. And if you ask an ESTJ for help with something, they will drop what they're doing immediately and come help you until that whatever you needed help with, that fucker is done. Done way better than you needed it to be done. So, good people. Just want to try to spruce up the old reputation a little bit for them. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, share it around, hit notifications, do all the things. If you would like to get typed, I do offer typing services, either face-to-face on video chat, or video typing is the other thing, where I send you questions, you make a video answering them, send it to me, then I make a video response typing you. So those are available. Links in the description box, either at Snug or True Generations. And stay awesome.